Today, this episode, I'm on with Dagna, ex-prison officer. Hi, Dagna, how are you?
I am good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, Don, not so bad. Thank you for coming on Laments. I really wanted to get into, what it's like being in the prison service. What you're able to say. Don't cause any drama for yourself. But let's start with the beginning. What what led you to become a prison officer?
It's a question that a lot of people actually asked me, um, and I don't really know.
Okay.
Uh, I moved to the UK when I was 19, and I did my degree, which was in law and criminology. And people always say, well, with that, you're obviously going to be a lawyer, you're going to be whatever. And I said, no, I don't have the time or the money or the connections to be a lawyer. And I didn't really know where I wanted to go with it. Uh, and then we moved up north to England to be closer to my partner's family, and I was just looking for jobs. As stupid as it sounds, and I saw prison officers for, I think it was for HMP Durham, Franklin, Law Newton, and Dearbolt. So I was applying for different ones for different regions, and I thought to myself, why not? I was like, yeah, hell yeah, it sounds really cool.
Hmm.
That's what I thought. It sounds really cool. I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea. I didn't do any research on what the job can do to you, or what the job actually is, which was probably really ignorant and a bit stupid of me.
Right.
But I thought to myself back then, do you know what? Why not? And I applied and I got through. And yeah, and never looked back. It was the best thing, the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Okay, so what was the recruitment process like? I know you have to do a physical, which
Yes,
involves
that's further down the line.
that's further down the line. Okay, so what was the interview? Obviously, don't give the game away, but was it quite intense? Was it quite easy? Did you walk through it? Were you stressed? Like, job interviews are different for everyone, right? So, what
Yeah,
was your experience?
there is multiple steps to it. So you apply online. There is a full application that you need to fill out, and you don't talk to a single human being. It's literally a case of filling out the form. Then they get in touch with you, and they either tell you you've gone through to the next stage. And the next stage is basic maths and English test. And it's as simple as it sounds. It's literally a case of basic adding and subtracting situations. Let's say you've got, I don't know, 60 lads on the wing, 20 went to the gym, 4 went to education. How many have you got left on the wing? That kind of situation.
Right. Okay.
Um, so I wasn't too stressed about that one. After that, like I said, it's basic English, just to make sure you can write, decent reports and fill out the admin side of things. I can't remember what else was there. I don't think there was much else. There was like, in a way, psychological test online. So, what would you do if A, B, and C happened? Would you go to a manager? Would you handle it by yourself? Would you search um, support from your colleagues, or would you not do anything at all? I'm just
I get
making
you.
it up, but roughly these kinds of questions. Afterwards, you either pass or again fail, and then you get invited to an assessment day. I had to go down to Manchester for it because that's the main sort of training hub for the assessment. Went down to Manchester, and then you have to do again. Maybe that has changed since. Right, I joined good few years ago, but back then I had to sit down. I still had to do my maths test. I still had to do my English. I had to go through, and it was an interview, but then straight after it was a little scenario situation. So they literally told you, you're an officer on landing A, B, or C. You walk in, behind the door is prisoner such and such. These are the problems. Go and solve it.
Right.
I was like, okay. And me being all bushy-tailed and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to change someone's life. I walked in, and I kid you not, I literally just looked at the woman, and she was like, what the fuck do you think you're doing here? Do you think I'm going to speak to you? Not a fucking chance. You another see you next Tuesday. And I'm like, hi, my name is Dagnas. I'm an officer. I'm just trying to help you.
Oh dear.
It was funny. I look at it, and I was just shocked. I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. Let's just sit down. What's going on here? And you had two scenarios to do. One was with a female, one was with a male. And in a way, I was a bit shocked how normal these conversations are. And yeah, you had to get to a point. You had to, solve A, B, and C. An issue with him not going to work, or with her not engaging with a key worker. Things that you get day to day. But it was very clean, very fake in a way. It was very natural in a way. The conversation was a natural thing that you would have with any other person, but the scenario itself was quite fake. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen clean cut in the jail. And afterwards, there is the fitness test, and you have to run a bleep test, and you have to pass an agility test, as well as you would call it maybe an endurance test. It's basically you need to hold up a riot shield on a certain angle above your head for, I think it's like a minute or a minute and a half, something like that. The only bit I struggled with was the fitness test.
I think I'd struggle with a bleep test, to be honest. I'm not a running person.
No, I've always said, I loved running to alarms, right? But other than that, the only thing I run is a bath and my mouth. I don't do running.
I'm going to have to remember that one.
Yeah, I don't do running at all. But I passed it. And yeah, and they said, well, off you go on your merry way. Let's get you through vetting. Vetting lasted about 12 weeks. And it's just basic DBS checks, all of that boring stuff, admin that happens behind the scenes. And then they contact you and give you a date for the training, and off you go.
So what was the training like then? So that's in a nutshell, that was your sort of recruitment process. And then day one, training. Obviously it's not going to be like something out of police academy, one hopes. So what was it like?
I feel it was very cheesy. It was like any other orientation day in any kind of employment. You just walk in and there is a group of, I think, oh God, how many was there? I think it was maybe 20 of us, something like that, from 3-4 different jails, and I was the only one from my jail, so I didn't really have any mates. There was 11 from another one, 4 from the other, and I was just sat on my top. And yeah, and to be honest, it was good in a way. We've come from different backgrounds. A couple of them have done operational support roles, so OSG, so non-prisoner facing roles in other jails, so they kind of knew what they were expecting. I still had no idea. I still thought to myself, oh my God, how fancy do I look in a uniform? And I love it. And I'm going to be excellent at this because this is learning, and I've always been good at school. So I said, oh, I'm going to be so good at this. And we started going through it, and there is a lot of what I call as death by PowerPoint. It's, yeah, there is a lot of handouts, there is a lot of booklets to fill out, there is a lot of theory, very, very dry theory. And as much as they push for, let's practice this or let's practice that, there wasn't really that much practice happening. I wish someone at some point in the trade and sat me down and said, you've got your colleague, do a key worker session on him, do a welfare check, or one of the interviewers sit down with me and give me a real life scenario, a welfare check or a key worker session. There was none of that. The only practicals were control and restraint, so use of force, obviously first aid, things like that. But all the, you know, education around mental health, around counterterrorism, around, you know, very important things, it was just dry theory. And I wish that could change, because you're going in and you're not met with like dot to dot, you know, scenario that happens in a book or in a workout, like activities book that you fill in. It's just not that at all. It's a, you know, they train you for an imaginary prison where everything goes your way, and there is a tiny bit maybe of resistance, but no one prepares you for what you actually see.
No, okay. I can imagine you see some horrific things on that. Speaking of which, that's a segue into my next sort of question even. So you've done you've done your recruitment, you've done your training. Day one on the job, as the term is. You're in your first week. What's the most shocking thing in your first week, or is it relatively, dare I say it, calm?
My experience was slightly different to what probably majority of people's would be, because I started right before COVID hit.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I started in February. By mid-March, they stopped our training and said, we can't meet anymore within the classroom setting. You're going back to your establishments and you're going to be working as unrestricted duties, we call it. So non-prisoner facing roles, operational support roles, so helping out in the gate, correspondence,
The
you
what?
know,
Sorry, helping out in the.
in the gate,
Oh, the gate. Beg
like
your pardon.
the prison gate.
Yeah, yeah.
What else were we doing? Just mostly paperwork, and again, non-prisoner facing, because you're not trained. So I went back and I was very, very fortunate, and I'll always say it, I loved my time as an OSG. I loved my time as a you know, technically an officer, but working with the operational support grade. I loved my OSGs. It was amazing to see all the, you know, behind the curtains stuff. It really, really helped me as an officer later on. So I was at an advantage when I started. We went back and I graduated in June, I think it was, having started in February. I was supposed to be done within 3 months. So my first week live, well, you go in and you still have 2 weeks of shadowing. So you go live after 2 weeks. And at some point you get, you know, you're given your baton, you're given your radio, you're given a set of keys, and there you go, off you pop. You know, go rehabilitate our young men. When I first started, our jail was straight up young offenders. We then changed into adult estate in 2023. But yeah, go and rehabilitate our young men. And I walked in, and it was just a lot of, oh my God, are you a new officer? Are you, oh, can you do this for me? Oh, can you do that? Can you pass this? Can you pass a vape to someone else? Which is a big no-no. You don't pass vapes. Oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And I was like, oh my God, yes, of course I can.
So a lot of it was day one was you being tested by the prisoners, really.
It was all about seeing where I stand, how I behave. Am I scared? Will I back down? Can they have a normal conversation with me? You know, will I just bullshit them straight out the gate? And yeah, it was just a big test. And I've always said, give yourself 6 months in that job. After 6 months, you'll know whether it's a place for you or not. Because for the first 6 months, you're scrambling a bit. You don't know where applications go. You don't know the answers to the questions. You know, they're asking you about the sentence plan, or, you know, the case managers, and, you know, or can you ask this person about A, B, and C? Can you check my spends? Can you do whatever? And you're just like, yeah, I'll go and ask someone. So that's the worst part because they get sick of you saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
But later on, once it starts clicking in, you just need to tell them, listen, I don't know. Don't BS and say, oh yeah, of course, I'll help you with this. Don't. Just say, listen, I don't know, I will go and ask and I'll come back to you and always come back. Other than that, first couple of months is just pure test.
It sounds like a lot similar to when I worked in mental health. I worked in NHS mental health for cool, about 10 years, I think, just under. And it's
Probably very, very similar
and
environment, I'm not going to lie.
it does sound very similar where you're getting tested, and because unfortunately, prisoner, patient, all they've got is time to work you out if you're new. So I can understand that to some degree. Now, I think partially TV shows are to blame for this, but it is about safety and support of people. It's not like there is a power dynamic, but it's not like what you see on TV, is it?
Um, there is a power dynamic, and again, it depends. It really depends on your personality. It depends on the lads that you're working with, and it hugely depends. And I can't stress this enough with the people you work with,
Mm-hmm.
because the people that you're on the shift with are your make or break.
Right.
You'll either feel extremely supported, you'll know exactly what you start, where you stand, you know exactly what's getting done. Everyone, it just everything flows. It's amazing. When you've got the opposite, it's just chaos, and you're trying to sort of handle the whole wing on your own, and it shouldn't be like that.
No, no, I get that.
And at the moment, I would love to say that prisons are, there to rehabilitate, to support, to help. But my personal opinion is, at the moment, it's containment. It's not. There is very little rehabilitation happening. There might be, very limited amount of cases. There are good officers still left. I strongly believe that, and I've left a lot of good officers behind, and I loved my work family.
Whoa, whoa, so you're not a
But
prison officer at the moment?
no, I'm an ex-prison officer.
Okay. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I'm no longer bound by any secrecy acts. I'm not gonna sit here with with my black book and a list of names
no, I
of
wouldn't
people
ask
who
you
have
to.
ever wronged me or anything like that. But and I obviously wouldn't be naming any prisoners. But the policies, the management, uh, it's all about containment and ticking boxes these days.
What type of boxes?
The ones that get you funding, the ones that get you money coming through into the jail.
Okay, so what
It's
boxes are those? What boxes needed to be ticked for the jail to have more money coming in? There you go. Let's make it an
oh,
easy
that's
question.
that these are questions that are slightly above my pay grade.
Oh right, okay.
But it was mainly, statistics. So how many prisoners go to education? How many engage in purposeful activity? It's called. So how many go to education? How many go to workplaces? How many engage with mental health support? How many engage with whatever other programs that we've got? We had some thinking steps program, things like that. And when your regime is just bare bones and the lads are locked up 23 hours a day because you don't have enough officers to run the regime, you can't fake it that, a load of them went to education, because they didn't. They
No,
couldn't, because there wasn't enough people to open the doors and safely operate the jail. None of them went to education, work, gym, which is hugely important to them, chapel. It's things like that. Or, the number of assaults on staff, especially. A lot of these, I don't think all the numbers go through to the higher ups.
But a big thing about, from obviously doing a bit of research, didn't come on here unprepared. Safety should be, I say should underlined, highlighted, big circle around it.
Yeah.
So safety is a priority in the prison service. Surely, I know. To use the only sort of similarity I've got, you can laugh at me if you want. Was when I worked in mental health. It was secure services. And we had people come from prison and go to prison and vice versa. And we had to make sure that everyone had a radio. If there was an alarm pulled, people would respond to help each other. And like you say, you work colleagues, family as you phrased it, make or break your day. So was safety a big problem where you were?
Huge. And it's in every single prison that you'll look into. Every single jail that's currently understaffed, which is going to be pretty much all of them, is going to have a safety issue, because if you think about it, one person can't safely run a landing of 100 lads.
No, that's
You
just
can't.
not going to happen.
You can't. You can't. No one can tell me. No one from MOJ can tell me that this is safe. It's not. It's not. It's neglect. Yes, you do have you're trained in personal protection.
Yeah.
You're trained, obviously, in use of force. You've got your radio. You've got Pava, which is like stronger than pepper spray, essentially. I'm not gonna get into how strong it is because I can't remember.
You've got a spray.
Yes, I've got a spray that makes people cry
Yeah.
and snot a lot.
Probably just onions.
Yeah, probably, most likely. You've got your cuffs and you've got your baton, and that's what you've got. You don't have a stab-proof vest. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. You literally, that's what we used to say to the new officers that were coming through when they were trying to play, Billy Big Bollocks. I was like, your shirt is not stab-proof. So maybe wind the attitude down a little bit, because just because you can take one lad on doesn't mean that I can, because I'm 5'2" and I don't want to particularly. I'm always game for a scrap, but I don't particularly want to be your collateral. And you'll find yourself in a situation where it won't just be one lad, and you will get seriously hurt. So you can't be walking around like that. Other than basic equipment and body worn camera. That's also what we have. There's nothing. You just have to count on each other. Our jail wasn't big, and I'm never gonna sit here and say that I've done so many years and I've worked in huge jails. I didn't, but I strongly believe that I don't have to have that experience to know how broken the system is.
Okay.
I have seen the failures, and our jail is absolutely shocking. So I feel like I've seen the worst of the worst. I really sincerely hope that there aren't jails worse than that. So our wings weren't huge, but even when you're working 2 people for 60 lads or 66, that's still not safe. When you've got a right mix, you do petty thieves, driving offences, grievous bodily harm, and murderers in the same room and on the same landing. And no one, prepares you for, going in and, go and handle yourself. There was 2 of you, let's say 30 odd of them out on the yard.
Yeah.
You just have to press the alarm and hope for a response to be there, as soon as possible, essentially.
It's not ideal at all. It doesn't sound very safe either. So,
No.
Recently, I don't know how closely you follow the press, but I wanted to ask this question. I saw it again yesterday. As a female, did you feel it was appropriate to be in a male prison? The reason I ask that question isn't for any level of misogyny or sexism, but we are seeing more and more stories of female prison guards, shall we say, being inappropriate with male prisoners. Does that happen a lot? Should females, in your opinion, be in male jails? Should they only be in female? Like, where do we draw the line to stop this happening? Because I don't often see that male prison officers are sleeping with female prisoners.
I'll touch on that because
Not in the press,
so
anyway.
no, so I'll break it down slightly. So I'll start with I also see, it feels like every day I open my phone, there is a new story, new TikTok, new Facebook article about yet another female going in and either, having, let's say, physical relations with a prisoner or smuggling in things for them. And it really bothers me. It really gets to me because I have thought we only had, I say only, we had 3, I think, 4. That, it doesn't sound like a lot, but to me it's huge. We had 4 female officers who have done it that I knew personally.
Right.
And it just shocks you because I was never in that frame of mind. Going on the wing and looking for boyfriend material. That just it just never even crossed my mind. Or if any of them, none of them did. Wonder why. If someone approached me and said, well, you're gonna do A, B, and C for you need to bring drugs in for me, or you need to bring phones, or A, B, and C is gonna happen to you, I'll be like, well, a quick phone call to the orderly officer and get him out now. It would not be a case of, oh my God, and panicking, thinking, I need to do it. It would never ever cross my mind. But it does happen. The second point was, do I think females should be or women shouldn't work in male establishments? I disagree, purely because I fully understand where people are coming from when they say women have no place in male jails. I get it. It's a huge risk to us. It's a huge risk, and I'll never say it isn't. But us women bring a different vibe, for the lack of a better word. We bring different atmosphere. And we bring a bit of, I don't want to say softness, but in a way it is softness. It's a different approach. It's a different level of sensitivity and different level of maybe empathy sometimes, and understanding that some men just don't have. And I'm not saying that, they are worth for it. I'm not as physically maybe strong as you, but, I'm a bit more maybe empathetic, or I know slightly better how to approach someone with a mental health issue. And we both have our vices, so I think female and male officers balance each other really well.
Right. Okay.
And I've met so many lads who absolutely refused to engage with male officers because they were either abused by men in the past, by the fathers, uncles, you name it, or they just don't want to show themselves as that vulnerable in front of another man. And their only way to share, their stories and to get further support is to speak to a female. It's as simple as that. Now, men in female estates, I think it's a slightly different issue because there is that power imbalance, I feel. As a female, 5'2" on a good day, I don't think I'm as intimidating. Yeah, I know, on a good day, standing on a little stool. I don't think I'm as intimidating as a big burly bloke. Do you know where I'm getting from? I'm not going to be, maybe as, again, intimidating, maybe threatening, scary. If you think about how many women are subject to either domestic violence or SA, or who have been maybe abused as children.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of these instances will be at the hands of a man, whether we like it or not. It's a simple fact. So men in these establishments might have slightly less of a reason to be there than females in male jails. But again, I don't think we should be sort of isolating male establishments to be just for male officers and female establishments to be strictly with female officers, because I think both bring valuable insights and valuable, experiences into the job.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I've seen it quite a lot recently in the press. I wanted to get your take on that as someone who's obviously been there and lived it. So, obviously, it's a stressful job. It takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of anyone, not just you. But
Mm-hmm.
what coping mechanisms did you have? And with your former colleagues, were they healthy, unhealthy?
My establishment has recently come up as one of 5 establishments within the whole UK where there is the highest amount of officers going on sick leave because of mental health.
It's interesting.
So that shows you how great my jail was. I was surrounded by amazing people, strong, resilient, that broke, and it's not because they weren't strong enough, it's because they were just chipped away at constantly. And I don't think there is a resilient way to cope with it. There isn't a resilient way to cope with poor management. There isn't, some kind of trick that I can sell to someone. I wish there was. I wish there was a cheat code for crap management. I would love that. However, there isn't. You can look after your mental health, dark humour, amazing thing, plenty of coffee, and you can have a great day. We had loads of banter with prisoners and staff. People think that, you just stand there, you hold the keys, and you don't talk to these people, and it's not that at all. You have such a good laugh with a lot of them. So just acting like a human, talking to your friends always. Please, 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 whoever's watching this and is currently in the service, please do not think that you can't approach people and you can't talk to them about what you're going through, because you need to. I suppose that could be one advice. Please always stand up for yourself. Don't think that no one will listen just automatically. Yes, I have witnessed it myself, several occasions, very serious occasions, where no one listened. But I just carried on asking for help until I got it. It took me ages, or in some circumstances, I didn't get any at all. But I carried on chipping at it because I think, even in my head, thinking that, I'm trying to stand up for myself. I know what happened to me was wrong. That already helped in a way. They're like, I'm not just sitting here being sad or being traumatized. I'm trying to do something about it. You absolutely need to have support system at home. You do. It's a no-go to be just on your merry tart and not talk to anyone. Yes, you can't, again, you're banned by the Secrecy Act. You can't be talking about things to people, in regards to prisoners, the history,
of course.
Security issues. But you can't just bottle it all up. Whether you go to therapy and you've got a trusted person to talk to, whether you go to your manager and ask for occupational health and ask for a therapist, whether you get it or not, that's a different story. but you need people to talk to, and your colleagues, again, are your make or break.
Okay.
Talk to your colleagues because they've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt. That's your coping mechanism.
Okay, so that makes me think to some degree the frontline staff, shall we call them, yourselves, the officers. No one's out to stitch anyone else up, or is it just one apple every now and then? You see, you've got a in your inside out justice, and then it froze, and now you're back again. So I don't know what happened. Anyway,
I'm back.
you're back. You're back. That's the important thing, and you're okay. So my question was, in your experience, you said that your team is your make or break. You have to depend on each other. Did you have people that were intentionally out to stitch each other up? Was the occasional bad apple? Were people trying to make a name for themselves and climb the ladder? Did you experience any of that?
uh, I need to really think about it, how to do it very diplomatically right now.
Diplomatically.
Yes. I left the service because of a stitch up.
Right. Are you allowed to disclose anything about that at the moment?
I'm not gonna get into it
Okay, that's fine.
because I'm still fighting that fight. So when I eventually win it, because I know I will, it's that'll be a story on its own. But unfortunately, as much as I absolutely loved the people that I directly work with, my SO, my manager were amazing, my wing team were amazing people that I could literally trust my life with and
Yeah.
trust my life with. But the culture itself is extremely toxic, and I can't emphasize this enough. It's extremely toxic.
Hmm.
There is no unity, there is no loyalty to each other, and it's really, really sad to see because, you know, and I don't want to say back in the day because I haven't lived it, I haven't directly experienced it. But you heard about we're one uniform, we're one family, we stand together. Whether it's army, police, any uniform services, we are one. And now it's every man for himself.
Oh,
If
really?
it's if it's uncomfortable to stand up against whatever decision that you don't agree with, they won't stand next to you. Not a chance. I was very, very fortunate that the last wing I worked on was outstanding. I loved my team. And it showed. The lads knew if we're on the wing together, it was going to be a good day. We knew exactly where we stood. We knew that everything's going to get done. The lads knew that they can rely on us. And yeah, we just got on. When there was other people coming on the wing, you could see a shift immediately, and it was immediately you were the I don't want to say a scapegoat, but in a way you were like the I was like a mother of the wing, or I've got two strangers on the wing, so everything is Miss T, can you do this? Miss T, can you do that? Miss T, can you do such and such? And I'm like, there is two other officers on this wing that have the same roughly knowledge as I do. You can go and ask them as well. It's not just me. Go and ask them to open your door. I'm doing something for three other people right
I got
now.
you. I got you.
But it's very much every man for himself. There is a lot of, and again, that's just what I've witnessed in my jail. And please, no one come for me from other jails, okay? If it's not like that, amazing. I'm so happy for you. I'm thrilled. However, it was really shit for us in my jail, where people got promoted straight from their probation year, which is mind blowing to me because you don't have the experience. You don't have the knowledge. You don't have the experience. I suppose is the word. And
How
this is
does that
what I
happen? Just to interject, sorry. How does that even happen? You do a
because
probation and then you're instantly promoted. You've surely
because
you haven't got
people look for
experience.
yes men. It's whether your face fits.
Right, I got you.
My face never fit. I was too loud. I was too outspoken. I would never tell the management or the governors what they wanted to hear. I told them what I saw. If it agreed with what they wanted to hear, amazing. But if it didn't, I still said it because I didn't feel the, the need to be brown nosing people and thinking, oh well, if I'm nice to this governor, I'll go up in the ranks. I was told so many times after 2-3 years in the job, Dagna, go for your SOs. So it's a supervising officer, and that's a step rank up from an officer. And I was saying, no, I don't feel like I've got enough time in the job. I don't feel like I've got enough experience. I love the landings. I don't want to, be pulled away into paperwork and stuff like that. I would rather run the wing. Because in any normal jail, an SO and a CM, so a custodial manager, should work their wing, should be on the wing, should be able to supervise what's going on the wing, on the landings. But that didn't happen in my jail. The SOs were stretched thin, thinner than thin, doing loads of different jobs, very often away from their own wings,
Right.
and we were in a way left on our own. If you were, blessed enough to have a good wing manager, amazing. But if you didn't, you were left on your own. People got promoted because of nepotism. People got promoted because they fit the, I don't know, little star scheme that someone just made up. And they say, oh, well, you look like a good officer to take onto such and such role, and that was it. And I've always said, Thursday on the job, my first SO said, Dagna, you've got a degree. You can go on a fast track scheme, 6 months as an officer, year as an SO, year as a CM, lower grade governor within 2 years. And I said, not a chance. Not a chance. Who would respect me as a governor trying to say that I know what I'm doing, where I wouldn't have a clue? Yes, I would be great in doing admin. I would be great in pushing papers. I would be great in enforcing whatever rules you want me to enforce, but that's not my jam at all. That is just not me. I was like, I want to go in. I want to, I want to experience the landings. I want to work with the lads. I want to be, see where we need support, where we need help, where we need a shift, to see, to take that further. That doesn't happen. You've got people going into roles that they have absolutely no clue about, without any further training, or, again, death by PowerPoint 3-day course.
Yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah, so it's mental to me. And I really, 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 really want to push. Maybe it'll never happen. Maybe I'm delusional. But I really want to push in a change of training for new officers. They went through an apprenticeship scheme for a couple of years, and basically they were sending people out straight into the jails whilst doing the paperwork back at home, or having a couple of hours during work to do their e-learning. But that doesn't work. You need to have genuine training. I think personally, again, come for me or not, but I think the age of joining the job should be raised to 25. No 18-year-olds coming through the door. None of that. Because how can an 18-year-old come and speak to a 40, 50, 60-year-old man and tell them, it's just that simple, just don't be a bad person. Just don't vape on the landing, otherwise you're going to go on basic. It's ludicrous to me.
No,
25 minimum age, definitely, and completely different training system. No HMP utopia. No fake, dry textbook scenarios. None of that. We need genuine knowledge and experience, not a workbook on mental health. We need genuine knowledge on mental health. We need genuine knowledge about how a jail is run, about the regime, about how to talk to people. Not, book standard, fill in an activity book how you would conduct a key worker session. None of that. Sit with someone, get ex-prisoners to do it. Tell them, come in, sit down. You've been through it. Sit down with a brand new officer, and let them have a key worker session with you.
That would probably work, and that leads me to think that would improve the safety issues as well, wouldn't it? I imagine.
There's so many things. I think understaffing is the biggest issue at the moment when it comes to safety. But you won't tackle understaffing if you won't improve the way staff is treated, because no one wants to go for that job anymore. It used to be a prestigious job. You had to fill dead man's shoes. You had to wait literally for people to die to join the service. And now they can't get enough through the door, because you don't get paid for what you go through.
No.
You are not appreciated by your management or the public. The public think, what they believe in what they see online, and if what they see online is day in and out female officers having inappropriate relations, male officers, using excessive use of force, or education staff smuggling in drugs and phones, then how are they supposed to have, a better opinion on us?
No. Okay.
So the culture is toxic. There is few bad apples that spoil it for the majority of us. But again, it's not even the bad apples are the big headlines.
Yeah, I get you.
The corruption, the drugs coming through, the inappropriate relationships with prisoners. But on day to day, the amount of people that are willing to push each other under the bus in the name of, I don't know, feeling better about themselves is huge. And that's what destroys you. It's not the job. That's what breaks people, the management and other staff. It's that, because it just wears you down. And there is, you can speak to your other colleagues about it and they'll be amazing, they'll be supportive, but you will still get people that you come in, you're in a good mood, you're with your own staff on the wing, you're having a great day, and then someone comes on, I don't know, looks at, I don't know, a messy desk in the office, and goes and fill in an intelligence report saying that a sensitive information is being on display for prisoners and stuff like that on such and such wing. It's you laugh, it's outlandish, it's funny, but it's fucking true. And that's what people don't realise, that, it's so easy these days to push people under a big, big bus with just an off comment or a complete BS. And, she spent 5 minutes on the wing with me, but made an opinion and went and reported it instead of talking to me.
Yeah, it could have been any number of things, couldn't it?
And I won't even know that it happened. I'll just get pulled in a couple of weeks later by a manager and say, that day and that time, was there any sensitive information? And I'll be like, what? What? My issues are, whether Timmy from Landing 1, whether he's able to speak to his family today, whether, Adam from Landing 2, whether his application to Business Hub went through, and whether Landing 3 has enough toilet paper. That's my issues. I'm not remembering what happened 2 weeks ago. And I was like, there's no sensitive information, it's just a messy desk. Because we messy, because we work, because we don't sit in an office, we actually work on the landings.
No, okay. So, you were stitched up, you left the service, and you've now set up Inside Out Justice. Tell us about that.
Yes. So, it started off by a member of a journalist from BBC search. I've mentioned before about the statistics and that my jail came up in the first 5 that were, had the most amount of
mental
people
health, wasn't it?
With mental health stress going off. So she said, is there any person from these particular jails, either currently serving or ex officers, who would like to speak to me? And I thought to myself, you know, why not? Why the hell not? And I spoke to her.
The BBC.
Yes.
You trusted the BBC.
Listen, I just did it, okay? And to be honest, and kudos to Eve. I love Eve. She wrote it as I said it.
Right, okay.
She didn't over dramatize it. She didn't underplay it. It was an amazing article, and I'll send you a link later on.
I'll put it in the comments for people as well.
Yeah, and it was my personal experience of being assaulted at work and the zero support that I received. Then she said she had a colleague from from BBC Look North who wanted to do a TV piece, like a literally 2-minute one. That was not amazing, wasn't my greatest moment. And they stitched me off with about a quadruple chin on the telly, so I'm not linking that one because it wasn't really valuable, in my opinion. I didn't really say anything outlandish there. But after that, I thought to myself, you know, I tried to, with the telly bit, I tried to remain anonymous. With the online bit, I only gave my name. And yeah, fair enough, it's a foreign name, so it stands out. But I thought, you know what? If you give anonymous interviews, and if you become yet another anonymous statistic, people just dismiss it because they think, oh, whatever, it's just a, you know, a bit of a newsflash. Yeah, prisons are crap, whatever. But I thought, if I put my name out there and put myself on the line and put a face to the issue, it might help a bit more. And mid-December, I decided, do you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna do it. Whether people like it or not, if I completely fail and I'm just a laughing stock, then that's fine. That'll be my experience. But maybe in the midst of it, I'll be able to change something. If I change one opinion, like one person's opinion about the jail and the prison staff and prisoners, that'll be already a win for me. So mid-December, I opened my TikTok, my Facebook, and Instagram. I opened, I think, Twitter or X, whatever it's called, and Threads. I don't really use them, to be honest. I'm really, really crap at it, okay? But since then, about 2 weeks ago, I also opened a YouTube channel. It's all Inside Out Justice or Inside Out Justice UK, so you can easily find all of them. And I thought, enough is enough. I'm done. I was never the one to sit silently and just take the kicking.
No.
That's why my face never fit.
I'm getting that vibe.
Yeah, so it was just a case of, I've seen so much wrongdoing. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not here to say I've worked in the job 30 years, you know, and I've worked in so many jails, so that's why I know. No, I don't. I've worked near enough 6 years. A lot of it was on maternity because I had a child since whilst I was in service as well. But I've seen pretty much every single department within my jail. I worked with the OSGs. I worked in the admin. You know, I've seen the segregation unit. I've seen the education bit. And you just see every single department having there is no one single hymn sheet that everyone's singing off. Everyone's doing their own thing because they believe it's the right thing to do. If it works out, it's great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There is just too many things that are going in wrong, and too many staff, good staff, officers, OSGs, education staff, whatever, that are leaving because the system is broken and the system breaks them.
Right.
And it's just not fair.
So Inside Out is to expose that, is it?
Well, expose, in a way, advocate for the ones that are not heard, advocate for prison officers who are just dismissed as home lovers, or,
Con
you
lovers,
know,
that's something new. I've
yeah.
never heard that before.
Oh, really? Oh, it's all the time. You're a con lover.
What does that mean?
Uh, convict. Convict lover.
So because you're supporting the people you're taking care of, you're a con
Yeah.
lover.
Yeah. I'm a
Interesting.
female staff, so I must be having, affairs with
Oh,
males in my
absolutely.
care.
Yeah, of course.
Of course I do that. I look different, or I put a bit of eyeliner on, so I must be on the lookout for a new boyfriend. That's what it is. I love that.
And you've just
You
told
say,
everyone how to connect to you if now you're looking for a boyfriend.
yeah, all of you, DM me instantly.
Yeah, yeah. Remember, it's inside out justice.
My, yeah, my taste in men is first line is incarcerated.
Absolutely seems that.
That is it. Uh, no, ex-prisoners don't come for me. I don't think it's that worse than others. That's not what I'm saying.
That's going to
I'm
be hilarious
saying,
if you get flooded now, isn't it?
oh, but what I mean is, I went in there and did my job, and I did it bloody well. And I could, no one can ever tell me that I did something that was corrupt. Never, ever, ever. Now, and that is, I kept my integrity. Whether people thought so or not, I know I kept my integrity. And I want to help the lads who are still in, because, yes, staff suffer, but the prisoners are too. I'm so tired of conversations that are, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Yes, that is true. That is partly true. However, it's not that simple. Some were literally raised in crime. I had a conversation once, a very, very sad one, and I was in tears. I was sat with a lad. I can't remember what he was going on about with me, but he was in a clear mental health distress. He was upset. And I said, right, I'm not talking to you through the ops panel, I'm not talking to you through the door. And I cracked the door and I said, right, sit down. I was like, well, have you got tea, coffee, whatever, put the kettle on. And I sat down on the chair and I was like, right, what is going on? Because, I don't know where to go with you. You don't listen to me, you don't comply with whatever I'm saying, and I'm only trying to help you. Like, I'm treating you like everybody else. And we started talking, and a couple of his mates came in. Ones that knew him really well, they were like brothers, they grew up together. And I'll never forget it. And they said, Miss, people just don't get it. They think that, oh, if you can't ride the bang up, that's the phrase, you can't ride the bang up, you shouldn't be in jail. But he said, I was selling drugs to my teachers at school to get money for new trainers because my mum wasn't interested in buying me new ones. And I was 9, 10, 11. And I was like, what? The other one was, Miss, I can't read because I left school and my mum wasn't interested, or my dad wasn't interested because they were too pissed up or high. Or my dad used to take me on his, burglary rides, trying to steal whatever there was. And that was the life. And people think, oh, well, you're such a bad person, just don't do the crime if you can't do the time. And it's like, really? If you drill something into someone from little, how do you expect them to all of a sudden magically come into this enlightened, view that this is wrong?
It's not always as black and white, is it? Not
It's
at all.
never.
So would you
No,
say that
and
was your...
yeah.
Sorry. Would you say that
No,
was
no,
your
go on.
most stressful moment?
No. Oh no.
No?
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
Are you allowed to disclose? Are you willing to disclose what your most stressful was? There's no pressure. Just
I'm
curious.
not. Yeah, I'm not naming names and anything like that. And
Wouldn't ask you to. No.
yeah, exactly. So it's just my experience, and I'm absolutely more than willing to talk about it. We had a lad on a wing who was a prolific self-harmer, and his preferred method was cutting.
Yeah.
And well, cutting and hurting himself in any way, shape, or form. Essentially, he was like, I knew him from having him previously on my own wing, but his main residence was, let's say, Wing E. But he came to us overnight because something happened. I can't remember what happened, whether he had to go out to a hospital or whatever, and he came in and I was on induction unit. And induction unit always got the lads who were coming in, so whether you've just been on a hospital stay for a few days, they would put it with us. And he came in and he was absolutely adamant that he wants to go back to his wing and his old pad. And I said, listen, I don't have that power. I can't just pick you up and move you. I can't do anything. So one of my favourite phrases was, it's a shit sandwich, but we're going to eat it together. You're not happy to be there. I would love for you to go to your wing, but at the moment you can't. Okay, so we have to deal with it one way or another. He was placed on something called an ACT. So it's in a layman terms, it's a support plan for people at risk of self-harm and suicide.
Yeah, okay.
Or I don't know if YouTube will like that word, so unaliving themselves, I suppose. And he was placed on 2 observations an hour. So at random times, you need to go within an hour and go and check on his well-being. You need to observe him, have a quick, word, whatever. And I was on evening duties, and I was just filling out my paperwork. I've done my checks, and the healthcare team came in, and he was wanting to get out for meds. So the officers unlocked him, who were doing meds, and noticed that he self-harmed since I've checked on him. He was basically picking at a wound that he had on his leg after a surgery. He had a proper boot, like a cast. He had crutches, full shebang. And okay, so they rang for a manager and said, listen, he's self-harmed, the risk is higher. But what they did was, they put it behind the door and locked it. Now, to me, mental health 101 is you don't isolate the person who's going through a crisis, because that's heightening the risk. But what do I know? They asked for the manager to come round, so the manager did come down, and they sat in one of the chairs with the officers who found him self-harming, and with the nurses inside discussing where should we go from there? Should we maybe up his observations? Should we do A, B, and C? Should we go whatever? In the meantime, I'm sat with an office. I'm not a part of this because I've still got the rest of the wing to look after. And now I wasn't a part of the people who found him. So I did my checks, and I could hear material ripping, because his cell wasn't far away from the office. And I could hear material ripping. So I said, I don't like that. So I left what I was doing, and I went to the door.
Oh, and am I guessing this is a ligature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to the door, and I was like, let's call him Brian. I was like, Brian, what are you doing? And he just turned around, looked at me, and he's like, oh, don't worry, T, nothing to worry about. And he carried on, and it was a pillowcase. So he just carried on. So I was like, right. I turned around, and I looked at the manager and the other members of staff, like officers and the healthcare, and I was like, I'm not being funny, but you just sat there discussing his risk, and he's actively preparing a ligature. So should we maybe go in? Because we need to act now, not talk about it. Crazy idea. So I went back to the door, and I said, right, Brian, I'm coming in. Whether you like it or not, I'm coming in, because I'm not having anything. In the meantime, he's already blocked his ops panel. It's just literally that kind of size.
Yep.
Glass little window that you just open through a metal flap, and you can observe him through. So he's blocked that with, I think it was toilet paper. He blocked the sides of the door, so you couldn't see through. But I was clever, so I opened the inundation point, and I looked through there. And I was like, well, I can see what you're doing anyway, so let me in. And I tried to open the door, and he barricaded the door with a crutch. So I was like, right, okay, let's go and get the anti-barricade latch key. But in the meantime, people are looking for the barricade latch. I'm talking to him, because I'm the first on the scene now. Not the people who found him before. I'm the first on the scene now. And because I was a trained negotiator, they were like, well, Dagna, you can handle it. Good luck. You're doing great. So, and there I am, and I'm like, Brian, listen, like, what is going on? What has happened from when I checked on you and asked if everything was all right and if you needed anything, to not even half an hour later, were you in this state? What is going on? T, I don't know what to tell you, blah, 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 blah. I was just, from the train, I was like, listen, I'm just going to talk to him about bullshit. As long as he's talking, he's not doing anything else.
Oh, that's it.
So I was like, oh, listen, but you need to think about your family, but, oh, you know, weather's nice, you know, that's not exactly what I said, right? But it was basically
Please
just
don't kill
keep
yourself.
talking.
It's sunny out there outside.
Yeah, you know, and tomorrow you're supposed to have a haircut, you know, things like that.
Just
You
trying
know,
to
just
think of things.
anything. In the meantime, they found the anti-barricade key, which basically allows us to open the door the other way. Not a lot of lads know this, so if you're trying to barricade, don't be a smart cookie, because we can still open the door, okay? The anti-barricade latch was very smartly painted over with proper sea paint. Whoever was painting the doors when the wing was refurbished, they painted like an emulsion paint over the anti-barricade latch, and I was like, this is amazing. This is, yes. So I'm there talking to him, trying to come up with whatever, trying to like get him out of that state, while someone's fiddling right by my side, trying to get the paint out, to get the anti-barricade latch open. It took us about 10 minutes. It was the longest 10 minutes of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think 10 minutes is a long time, but when you're trying to talk someone off an edge, it's the longest 10 minutes of your life. And at some point, he just said, I was like, listen, Brian, we need to talk about this. We need to sit down and actually have a conversation, because conversation through a door is not going to help. You need support, clearly. You know, it's a massive cry out for help. But I can't give it to you through a closed door. So please, unbarricade the door so I can come in and talk to you. It doesn't have to be loads of people in and healthcare and all of that. You don't need that. You just need one person to talk to. So just let me in. And he said, T, all I'm going to say to you is goodbye. And he stopped talking to me. And there should be probably a trigger warning just about now. if someone has experienced it or is particularly upset by talk about, you know, unaliving attempt or self-harm, should probably stop listening and skip. The noises I heard coming from through that door, that'll stay with me for life. And there is no easy way around it. There is no amount of therapy that's gonna,
No.
you know, settle it. We eventually opened the door. Thankfully, shortly after, and because he obviously had the leg in a boot because it was broken and whatever, he couldn't really do much else other than try to ligature from the bed frame. You've never seen anything like it. They have metal bed frames, and yeah, that's what he was trying to do. The second we came in, he tried to kick us away to stop us from helping him. Never seen anything like it. You know, you're trying to help someone and you would think to yourself, you know, if you're in that state of mind, you would want people to help you.
Yeah,
no, he didn't care.
No.
He didn't care. He just wanted us out. So we got a couple of kicks with the boot. And we've managed to restrain him. Not like, you know, twist him up or anything like that. It wasn't anything like this. It was for his protection only.
Mm-hmm.
Get his legs on the bed, get him pinned, cut the ligature. And I told Pete, I was like, get out. It's like, everyone out. And it was just me and another female officer. And again, that kind of ties into females in male estates. If that was another male officer, I don't think that conversation would have happened.
Right, I get you.
Afterwards. And I had a male manager who was obviously the one talking outside earlier. And I was like, well, are you gonna take over? And he's like, no, Miss T, you're doing great. you carry on. I'm like, champion. And again, Colin Bryan, he just broke down. And no one who's ever been in that kind of situation, you can't possibly imagine how broken up a person can be. That kind of cry is different. That kind of I have no hope, I want this to be the end cry hits you different.
Yeah, I know.
And it was a very difficult situation. And I think I stayed with them, I don't know, 40 minutes, an hour. I wasn't really counting, but it was about an hour. And I said, listen, I said, I'm going to stay with you until I feel satisfied that as soon as I leave, you're not going to do the same. And it took me about an hour, and I kept my promise. I was like, whether it's my time to go now because it's evening, whether it's my time to go, I don't really care. I'm staying and making myself satisfied that you're not going to do anything. We've lowered his risk because our other option was to put him on constant observation, in a constant observation cell, which is we call it a fishbowl, which basically has sort of, it's not glass, but it's like a thick see-through plex door.
That's right, yeah.
And yeah, and someone sits literally outside of the cell and just looks at you all the time to make sure you're not doing anything, which is horrific, to be honest. If you're going through a mental health crisis and you're trying to do something and you can't even go to the toilet,
You must feel like you're just being stared at constantly. It's not going to help your mental state.
it is, and it's literally, you are being stared at. There's no way around it, you know, whether you've got a privacy screen or not, you know, going to the toilet and things like that, you know, you can't even watch telly without having, you know, prying eyes on you. And it's, you know, the officers is not trying to pry, that's the job. They're just making sure you're safe. But it's definitely not helping. It's just managing that risk. It's not actively helping. Again, it's containment and you know, ensuring their safety as a tick box exercise. And I said to him, I was like, listen, Brian, I'm going to be on shift tomorrow on the same wing. You are getting that haircut tomorrow. We've got things to look after. He generally was due for a haircut, so again, don't come for me. So I said, listen, you know, you've got things to think about. You've got a child outside. You know, I've got kids. I was like, I can't imagine someone coming to my children and telling them that this is what their mother chose to do instead of being with them. And he said, well, miss, but I'm in prison. I'm not with my child anyway. And I was like, yes, but it's, I think it was like, let's say July. I was like, you're getting out in August. Considering what you've already been through, the end is in sight. And, you know, that's what we need to focus on. And that sort of helped with the shift and be like, oh, okay, maybe, yeah, maybe it's not that bad. And I went home, and the next day, another female officer that was with me that night, and we were both talking to him, and we shared a few things with him. Again, just like a human being, whether someone says to me that, whether it was professional to share information about my children, or that I have children, or, you know, that someone in my family attempted unaliving themselves, or whether I have attempted self-harm before, you know, people will say, oh, that's unprofessional. You shouldn't be talking about yourself. You shouldn't be sharing that information with the prisoner. I couldn't care less, to be honest. I chose to act human, not as a uniform and a robot. So the next day I came on, we both told them we're going to be there the next day. I said, I'm going to be on the wing, I'm going to support you. You know, we'll get through the next day together. She didn't show up the next day. I did. It didn't really matter to me how much it hit me. I had nightmares that night. I had nightmares of my kids trying to unalive themselves in that exact way.
Mm-hmm.
And my other family members, and it was horrific. But the next day I went in, and I got him through the next day. He got the haircut. Fucking hell, like a new person. You know, new hair, new me. It really sort of, you could see the shift. But then it was really hard again because, you know, the lads that were on both sides in cells were like, fucking hell, Brian, what was going on last night? You know, are you all right and all of that? And he was like, oh, yeah, I don't worry about it. I knew they were going to find me, so, yeah, but I did it because I was bored, or whatever. And I was like,
There's better ways to
um,
pass the time, Brian. Seriously.
I thought to myself, I was like, I'm sorry, mate, but the colour of your face was, and how you sounded, I have never, ever, ever heard or seen that on a person. That colour that his face was, when I opened that door, I can't even describe it to you. It was a really weird combination of blue, green, like olive green, purple, grey. There was nothing like it that I've ever seen before. And again, the noises, the gurgling and the talking. And I was like, that wasn't fake. Whatever you say to those lads, it, that's fine. You do you. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I think it was a real attempt kind of thing. I wasn't going to do that to him. But then I went to the manager that was with us the night before. And I said to him, let's call him Mr. Smith. I said, Mr. Smith, I'm really struggling with what happened last night. I've seen lads look at you before. I've seen plenty of self-harm. Didn't bother me at all. At all. Didn't bother me that I had to talk to him for an hour afterwards. Didn't bother me whatsoever. It was the sight and the noises and the duration that it was for, because it was about 10 minutes with a closed door when you know you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
That's what hit me. And I said, I'm really struggling. You know, it's the day after, and I feel like I think I need to talk to someone, you know? Like, I was stunned by it myself. And he literally looked at me and went, oh, that was your first time? Oh, I get them all the time. And he turned around and walked away. And I was like, okay, well, should I be now looking forward to my next one so I desensitize myself to it? Like, it was crazy to me. And after 2 months of constantly begging my own manager, I kept saying to him, and I was like, listen, I'm trauma risk management trained. I am not coping. That's what I meant before. I just kept bugging him. I am not coping. I'm not one to get just randomly upset. I still am having nightmares. It's 2 months in. I'm still having nightmares. I'm having flashbacks. I'm struggling. Eventually, after 2 months, I went up sick. I said, I can't do it no more. That's when he reached out to me and said, oh, well, let's arrange you an occupational health meeting. And then I got, pardon me, then I got trauma, cognitive behavioural therapy online with Mr. Peter something, I can't remember, but I loved that guy. He was brutal, but I loved that guy. And he was a psychologist, and I had a few sessions with him, and they were brutal, and they were grueling, and I was in tears constantly, but he got me through it. That was probably one of my harshest days on the job, I think, because there was just, I've never seen anything like it, and there was no amount of training, no amount of scenario play that will ever prepare you for it. If anyone's experienced it, you know, at home or anywhere else, it just hits you different. It doesn't matter how well you're trained, you're in that kind of deer in the headlights mode, and you think, shit, someone's life is in my hands. It's based on what I'm going to say to them now and what my actions are going to be. And I think people just don't realise. They think, oh yeah, whatever, you're just smuggling drugs, you're just con lovers. And I'm thinking to myself, I've just saved someone's son's life yesterday because I talked him off a ledge. If I just went home after a 5-minute conversation, he might have done it again and succeeded.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm not being, you know, I'm not blowing my own trumpet and whatever.
No.
I'm not being up my own ass. It's that's the harsh reality. That is, you know, I can go to work and save someone's life. I can go to work and ignore someone's cry for help. I can go to work and get stabbed because someone doesn't like the look of my face today. it's that brutal and it's that harsh, and people think we over exaggerate as officers. We're not. We're really not. Our shirts are not stab proof. We don't wear, proper vests. There is nothing that can generally protect you from it, and people just don't see it, and that's the biggest struggle. It's the lack of support, because you can go through horrific things, but with the right support you'll get through it.
Yeah.
But if you're going through horrific things and the support isn't there, or the support looks at you and thinks, "Oh, I've gone through it so many times, so you'll be fine," that's not the way forward whatsoever.
Now, thank you for sharing. First of all, are you okay?
Yeah. It was 2 years ago now.
Doesn't matter, does it?
And no, actually, it doesn't. I'll never forget it. I'll put it that way. I'll never forget it. It doesn't affect me the same way anymore. I know the lad has gotten out. I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know what he's done on the out. I just know he got out safe.
Okay. So
yeah, I'm fine about it now. But yeah, it'll always stay with me nonetheless.
right, there is no way in hell I'm going to end the episode on a negative like that, even though I had a good outcome.
No.
So,
Yeah.
give us some positives of being a prison officer.
Oh. You
Some
get
fun,
to.
some funny stories, something we've got to balance that out after that. That was pretty dark. Let's balance it out.
How about breaking up a fight over a tea bag?
A fight over a tea bag.
Yeah, prison issue tea bag.
I'm guessing it's not like Yorkshire tea, which is nice and strong.
It's some. I can't name brands here and flag them off. I can't do it, right?
Let's just say it's a cheapo tea bag. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's not amazing. Yeah, fights over a tea bag, fights over a towel, fights over, and I am not exaggerating, over someone calling another person sausage. You're just like, "Oh, you're a fucking sausage, you are."
And that sparked a fight.
Never known disrespect like it.
That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious.
As an officer, and people, please don't listen to me and think to yourself, "Well, I'm not going into that job. No way in hell." The system isn't good. I'm not going to say that it's brilliant. Yeah, it's an amazing job. It's such a rewarding job. I loved my job. I can't stress this enough. I fucking loved my job. But I hated the place I worked at.
So if you could have done your job at another jail, it would have been better?
I don't know, because I haven't been at that jail. Every jail is going to have, its issues. But my jail was extremely bad. And a lot of people, there was a revolving door. People were coming in, leaving. Pretty much, I'm going to say 90% officers that were there, and they were there for years before I started. And when I joined, they are gone. They left. They left the service. Not that they went to another jail. They just left the service. We're not doing this anymore.
Right.
There was very, very few, and I could count them on both my hands, the ones that stayed. Out of the entire jail of people, everyone else, me with 5-6 years of experience in the jail, I was a senior member of staff. How ridiculous is that? Everyone else was under a year, under 2 years. It's mind blowing, and these are the people that are running the place without learning from someone who's got experience, without having someone to fall back on. New officers learn from new officers. That's how it works these days.
Well, that's how it should be, surely.
Well, you should be learning from experience. You should be learning from people who have done that job for a long time, but it's not the case anymore. But that job is one of the most extraordinary experience that you'll ever go through. It's a huge eye-opener. If you have any preconceived ideas on who the criminals are, that they are all absolutely vile human beings, that you can't have a conversation with them, that well, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime, you will shift very, very quickly, or you'll be corrected very harshly, because you see the majority of what you see is just heartbreak, and majority of what you see is very, very sad, and very, very small happy things are 10 times in a way better than what you see on the out. If someone gets a, I don't know, let's say a report card or a birthday card from their kid, not me, it's like next best thing since sliced bread. You know, or someone passing a maths test first time as a 40-year-old. It's huge to them because they've never had the opportunity to do it, and you get to be a part of that journey for them.
Do the
And I'm not
other
going to sit here,
prisoners sort of celebrate with them then, or is it just a
yeah,
one-person celebration?
it depends. It depends on the lads you've got on the wing, how many, you know, if they've got loads of mates and stuff like that. It purely depends. But I have experienced and seen it where a lad couldn't pass his test, and I think it was English or maths, I can't remember, but he was really struggling and he was so stressed about it. And he literally, they got a group of lads who literally said, right, you are not leaving the source room until you get it, you know, and we'll be coming to you tomorrow and we'll be practicing it again, because they've either done the course before, or, you know, they could read and write, or whatever the exam was on, and they made sure he passed. And that's brilliant. And it's the support that you see lads to lads. Some of it's outstanding and it's amazing, and it's nothing like you've ever seen anywhere else. The jail bond that prisoners have between them is like no other, because they've gone through the shittiest time of their life together. And I've had lads reach out to me after they left. I was still in service, and they, let's say, found me on Instagram or whatever, on my personal Instagram, not anything else. And they would message me and say, "Do you know what? Thank you for, you know, for being there, for being one of the good ones, for the support, for the help, or whatever, for good banter." And I felt so bad that I could never reply to them, because we can't talk to
No, no, of
prisoners when we're
course.
in active service, well, to ex-prisoners. And I felt really bad. But now, when I've got ex-prisoners, my prisoners, my lads, reach out to me, I'm like, fucking hell, how are you? You know, and they come back and they say, listen, I got out, I got a job, I'm back with my family, I'm back with my kid, I've opened a business, or I've started a job somewhere else, or, you know, my kid, you know, passed GCSEs recently, or I got engaged, or whatever. Fuck me, you're just so chuffed for them. It's, again, that job is the shittiest it can be, probably around, but it's one of the best and most rewarding jobs you'll ever do. And if people think I'm cheesy for saying it, fuck it. I just loved it. There's nothing like it. You get to support people in the worst situation possibly. Some love jail. They love being in. They love having 3 meals a day handed to them, you know. Um, but even those, you get to still help on the daily, you know, either, I don't know, processing their apps or making sure the menu is put in correct. Like, it's stupid. It's little things, you
But it
know,
means a world of difference.
but it means a world of difference. And they come back to you and say, fucking hell, thanks, miss. And you're just like, oh.
No, I think that is a really good place to end it, actually. I think this has been a really, really insightful interview. So, Dagna, thank you for your time. Just before you
Thank
run
you.
off, just again, where can people find the Inside Out Justice?
On TikTok,
Yeah.
Instagram, Tik, not TikTok, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Please follow me. I've got loads of campaigns coming this year. I've got loads of collaborations coming through, and they are with families, ex-prisoners. I've got people who reached out to me that are still in service and want to talk to me anonymously and give me their insight from their jails. And I'm joining in national campaigns as well against IPP prisoners and stuff like that. So please, please, please go and check it out. There's a lot of good things coming. And please, this is a public announcement. If you've got an issue with the way I look, with the amount of piercings that I've got, or the way because I look like a pincushion or whatever, fuck off.
And
I
you heard
I've
it
got
here.
I've got no interest to speak to people like that. It's boring. It's boring. It's ridiculous. And please, let's focus on what's really important. You know, on how the system fails people day in and out, and how it's destroying people's lives.
Right.
And let's try and change it.
We will definitely look at doing that. I will help where I can. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for your time. I genuinely mean it. We'll put all the
Thank you.
links in the description down here, and up here above me somewhere you should see the Inside Out logo, so you know when you found the right one. Thank you again, Dagna.
Thank you.